Hello and welcome back to the Campaign Chronicles, France 24's regular countdown to the presidential election. Our French politics editor Mark Perelman is here in the studio with all the latest. Now, Mark, after Toulouse comes the tragedy. Did the intelligence services here in France make a blunder? They seem to have known a lot about Mohamed Merah in the build-up to all of those deadly shootings. What have you got? What more can you tell us?
Well, it's been the story after the tragedy because Mohamed Merah had a number of offenses for which he was convicted when he was a youth. And then he made two trips, especially to Afghanistan, to Pakistan. When he came back, he was interrogated by the French Internal Security Services. He landed on the U.S. no-fly list. However, he was let go, and we know how tragic that became. So, interestingly, yesterday morning, the conservative foreign minister probably felt that this was coming, and so he kind of preempted the reaction by saying, okay, if there's an intelligence lapse, we need to clarify it. And the opposition socialists have been trying to formulate their response. They didn't really know how to act. Some said, after the raid lasted over 30 hours and ended up with the shootouts, that the special police forces were wrong. They didn't behave. One socialist even called for the resignation of the man who oversaw all the operation, Interior Minister Claude Guéant. However, he was quickly reined in, and the socialists more or less told what Alain Juppé said. They told the same line with one of François Hollande's lieutenants, François Rebsamen, telling the Daily Le Monde, "I'm asking the same question as Alain Juppé. This man was monitored after his trips to Afghanistan. He was on the U.S. no-fly list and at the top of the list to watch in the area." So the government countered in a very interesting way. The head of the Internal Security Services, Bernard Squarcini, gave a very rare interview and a detailed one to Le Monde, where he explained that they did all they could and that they could not nab Mohamed Merah quicker, that there was no way they could do this quicker. And also the Prime Minister, François Fillon, expressed in no uncertain words that the French state did all it could. Let's take a listen to François Fillon.
Being part of a Salafist group is not a crime. You mustn't mix religious fundamentalism with terrorism, even if we know there are sometimes links between the two. No, there were no reasons to arrest Mohamed Merah.
All right, the French Prime Minister François Fillon speaking there. Meanwhile, President Sarkozy back on the campaign trail.
Absolutely. He's back in campaign after those several days where he re-became the president and was all over this Toulouse tragedy. And today he was in the north of France, in Valenciennes, and he got a major boost with the endorsement of a center-right leader, Jean-Louis Borloo, a popular center-right leader, who had broken with him and had even considered his own presidential run. It's also good news for Sarkozy, who has been accused of veering towards the far right, and getting the endorsement of a major centrist figures help him balance his political agenda. Let's take a look at what happened today in Valenciennes between Jean-Louis Borloo and Nicolas Sarkozy.
Could he be the lifeline Nicolas Sarkozy's campaign needs? Jean-Louis Borloo, a one-time environment minister in Sarkozy's government.
Will you ask people to vote for Nicolas Sarkozy?
Of course. I'm here to back his social policies.
Borloo's support could prove crucial to wooing France's centrist voters.
I'm glad that Jean-Louis is supporting me because I need him.
What's changed? We thought you'd each gone your separate ways.
Just because you thought it, that doesn't mean it's true. Jean-Louis and I have always been in touch.
On Friday, the two men visited Borloo's home city, Valenciennes, in northern France. Borloo walked out of Sarkozy's government in 2010 after being passed over for the job of Prime Minister. Now his radical party is seeking to put social policies like improving access to housing onto Nicolas Sarkozy's agenda.
We've been granted everything we'd asked for. A new urban renovation plan, a professional apprenticeship scheme for the youth, taxes on big companies and financial transactions. And I think we'll get even more.
Polls still put Nicolas Sarkozy behind his main rival, the socialist François Hollande, in the election's second round on May the 6th. Borloo's backing could allow Sarkozy to narrow that gap by clawing back votes from other centrist candidates.
So this is good news for Nicolas Sarkozy, as I just said, also because in a couple of weeks, he's able to eliminate all the potential smaller candidates on the right. Jean-Louis Borloo is the last one to rally behind him, but all the others have done so, and that's good news for Nicolas Sarkozy because he certainly needs all the votes he can take on the right. He's already behind François Hollande in the polls, so he has been able to manage that. He also got another more symbolic support from his Gaullist family with the former First Lady, Bernadette Chirac. It is interesting because her husband, the former president, Jacques Chirac, was caught saying in a joking way, maybe, that he actually supported François Hollande, that he would vote for François Hollande. After all this became public, the entourage of Jacques Chirac said, no, he was just joking and so on. But in recent days, reports say that Jacques Chirac still wanted to support François Hollande. So Bernadette Chirac made sure today in Corrèze, where both Hollande and Chirac are elected officials, that she supports Nicolas Sarkozy, and she made sure to describe François Hollande as someone who could not be president.
He's a courteous man. That said, he doesn't have a presidential stature. You need lots of experience to be president. You need to have lots of training in politics. You need to have been a minister. In my opinion, it's someone who should have experience in the international arena.
So it sounds like President Sarkozy's got a friend there in the form of the former French First Lady Bernadette Chirac. Is that something that's going to give him a boost as well? Do you think?
Yes, because there was, let's just remind our viewers, there was tremendous tension between Jacques Chirac and Nicolas Sarkozy. They're from the same Gaullist family, but they feuded openly. When Jacques Chirac was president, Nicolas Sarkozy was one of his key ministers. He was Minister of Interior, but they feuded openly. I mean, it was vicious, it was bad. And so some people say Jacques Chirac is saying he supports François Hollande just to make sure Nicolas Sarkozy is unhappy. So having his wife try to bring the Gaullist family together by saying this, by attacking François Hollande, is good news for Nicolas Sarkozy because, as I said, he needs to circle all the wagons, make sure no one in the family just does not support him. And so it's certainly good news. Jean-Louis Borloo, Bernadette Chirac, all the other candidates behind him. Now he has to make sure he wins votes, more votes from other political families like the far right, the center. He's certainly going to gain with this Toulouse tragedy because he's the president and he's handled this rather well.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mark Perelman, our French politics editor. That was the Campaign Chronicles.